September is once again upon us, and with that, another year of Sonic September. Truth be told, I'm starting to run out of games, at least ones that I own. I know I'm missing a lot of the more oddball ones, but maybe I can try to track them down next year. For this year, I'm going to focus solely on the 2D games that I haven't reviewed yet, and you can probably guess at least one of the games that I'm reviewing. Here's a hint, it's Sonic Mania. But that's later. Today, I'm looking at Sonic the Hedgehog 4, Episode 1, released on a lot of last-gen consoles. My copy is on PS3, and as far as I know, it was only ever released digitally, so finding a hard copy may turn out to be impossible. Sucks, but it is what it is. I remember this game was hyped as the direct sequel to Sonic & Knuckles, and considering that I just played that game again from start to finish and got all Chaos and Super Emeralds, yeah, I was a bit stoked to play this. My QA guy / heckler Johnny raved about it, saying it was an amazing game. He must have been drunker than usual because this is one of the most disappointing Sonic games I've ever played. The story is typical Sonic stuff. Robotnik steals a Chaos Emerald and Sonic needs to go after him. In this game, it's literally only Sonic. No Knuckles and no Tails, which really seems strange being that it's touted as the sequel to a game that featured both of them as playable characters. Oh well. I could get over this if Sonic just didn't feel old. But before I get to his age, let me say that there's something else that threw me off. After completing the first stage, which was your typical island zone, you get something that I don't think I've seen in a Sonic game. A freaking stage select. Seriously? That's a bit strange, but again, oh well. So yeah, you choose which zone you want to play, and start the level. Easy enough. But let's get to the gameplay. Generally speaking, it's a 2D game that adds in 3D Sonic's homing attack. And many stages seem to try taking advantage of this, putting enemies in spots where you can get to them only by doing this homing attack. It's easy enough to perform by jumping and then jumping again while in midair. You'll see an icon appear when you can target something, which will then direct you to that object automatically. If you try to use the attack and there's nothing to head towards, Sonic will simply dash forward, which can be fairly dangerous in some spots where there are plenty of hazards, such as pits. Overall, sure, Sonic 4 feels like a 2D Sonic game with a fresh coat of bright paint, but at the same time, things just feel off. Sonic doesn't ramp up to his max speed very quickly, and that just prefaces the whole speed of the game issue. I mean, look at how long it takes for him to really get moving. But that's not the biggest issue of the game. It's the momentum of the main character. There's absolutely no speed carryover with Sonic. What I mean by this is that when you stop moving, Sonic will immediately slow down. In previous games, if you're moving fast and then you let go of a direction, Sonic will keep moving, but his speed will steadily decrease. In Sonic 4, Sonic stops immediately, which is incredibly strange. It's something that I never really got used to. Several hits by enemies were because I thought I was going to keep going, but nope. Sonic stopped right in the path of an enemy or a projectile. I just don't get why Sega thought that this was a great idea to put it in a game. Didn't they learn from Sonic 06 that this shit doesn't fly? It doesn't help that the controls also feel stiff. That's probably compounded by the lack of momentum, but even so, there were some puzzles that felt overly complicated because I couldn't control Sonic in the way that I'm used to. And you heard that right. Puzzles. Certain stages have a gimmick that Sonic must learn and overcome. The worst that I've seen are these swinging vines here, where you have to learn which way to leap from, and then get to the next section, of which you're never really sure if you're heading in the right direction. Another annoying one is the Lost Labyrinth Zone's strange puzzle here, where you need to hit some switches to uncover platforms and hide others, done simply so you can reach the end of the stage. Given that the 10-minute time limit still exists, this can be very frustrating to get to this point, only to die because Sonic doesn't move how you want him to. Maybe I wouldn't have cared about these problems so much if the game was at least fun to play, but sadly it's not. It's actually kinda boring. There's not a ton of enemies, and I'll typically have similar designs, unlike previous Sonic games in which each zone had their own baddies. Another thing that helps lend itself to boring gameplay is the music. Typically, even the worst Sonic games have some decent music to them. Yes, even Sonic 06. I actually kinda like Crisis City's theme. There were some others that weren't so bad, but I can't remember any of Sonic 4's themes. The music just feels uninspired. It's like the composer focused on just the retro-style drum beats, because that's literally all I can remember from the themes. Other than that, I can't say that I enjoyed the music, which is probably a first for me playing a Sonic game. It really is disappointing. There's really only one more thing that I need to mention as a negative before I move on to a few more positive things. The final stage. 2 words. Boss Rush. Freaking seriously? As if the 4 zones plus the final zone isn't enough as it is, they decide to mock us with a freaking boss rush in the final level. Honestly, I saw this and got fed up. I turned the game off. No, I haven't completed it, and I don't think I will. Okay, let's move on to the special stages. These resemble the very first Sonic game, in which you have to jump through a giant ring holding at least 50 rings at the end of the act. Do this, and you're teleported into a rotating level where Sonic just needs to navigate to the end, while collecting rings to open up gateways. If you hit a red exclamation block, the stage is over. If you can make it to the end, you can try to grab the Chaos Emerald. I'm assuming once you grab all 7, you get to be Super Sonic, but again, I can't be bothered to keep trying. At least this is fun though, and a nice throwback to the original game. I just wish the backgrounds weren't so damn trippy. Speaking of backgrounds, the graphics of the game are a mixed bag. The stage backdrops look beautiful, and I enjoyed looking at those. But everything else looks half-assed. Even Sonic, the main freaking character, looks lazily drawn, at least in my opinion. Robotnik looks just as ridiculous. I don't understand how a game that is in 2D that was backed by Sega looks so freaking low budget. How the mighty have fallen. If you're looking for a Sonic game to play, I wouldn't recommend this one. The graphics are bland, the music poor, and the gameplay a bit below mediocre. Not to mention that there's only really 4 zones and a boss rush. There's not really any defining features that stand out in Sonic 4. Everything just feels recycled from previous games. It's times like now where I wish I could punch Johnny in the balls for recommending that I play games like this. Final score? 5 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.